Fresh off of its 81 to 77 loss at Illinois, Texas Tech turns around and gets a nice tune-up game with Milwaukee coming to town. Look, just looking at the matchup here on paper, it's one I expect Texas Tech to excel in on the offensive side of the ball. I mean, they are just operating at such a high level right now, even playing that short bench as they continue to get healthier. JT Toppin is leading the country in scoring right now at 33 points per game. Milwaukee's in a bit of a tough spot here, Jay Man. They just played Indiana on Wednesday night, 30-point defeat. Then they got to turn around and go to Lubbock on a Friday evening. So, not much rest for them, going right back into another gauntlet of a game. So, we'll see if the Red Raiders can make any corrections that sort of crept up to any flaws that we saw exposed in that loss to Illinois as they look to continue to refine this as they move toward more meaningful games. But I will turn it to you first, J Man. What are you most looking for in this matchup?
Well, I got to go back, Riley, to when we did our top 100 breakdown or player breakdown. Christian Anderson, bounce back game for my guy. He was 8 points, 4 of 12 against Illinois. I think this is the perfect bounce back spot for him. One of my, I need to do a rankings on Twitter. One of my favorite players in college basketball, as you know, and obviously JT Toppin has just been hooping, 35 in the loss. I think Texas Tech's going to hit their stride again. Nice bounce back game against Wisconsin Milwaukee. But that is what I'm looking forward to the most. Watching Christian Anderson because that first game with JT Toppin out, I mean Christian Anderson went off, and I think this is the perfect game for them to gel back together against a bye game against Wisconsin Milwaukee.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think he's not going to have the same offensive struggles. I mean, Kylan Boswell had him in his back pocket the entire night. Boswell is one of the best guard defenders in the country. Life will be a little bit easier on Christian come Friday night. I do have to commend him on still finishing with 11 assists. I think his passing has just advance to a new level. It's kind of coming in all sorts of ways where, he can get a paint touch, find an open guy for a lob, but he can also like even look like there were times where against Illinois where it's like, oh, he got caught in no man's land with nowhere to go, and he just would find someone open on the perimeter for three. Where I've been really impressed with his vision, especially just because last year in his role, he was definitely more of a shoot first kind of guy, the spark plug type. To see him really evolve and become this true floor general has been a massive development for Texas Tech and what should again be another top 10, top 15-ish offense, which is just becoming the norm under McCaslin for the Red Raiders. J-Man, I got a couple stats from Milwaukee that I think bodes even more favorably for Texas Tech as they go into this matchup. The first is this. So, as the night of recording this, Milwaukee is coming off of that 31-point defeat to Indiana. In the first half, Indiana had 14 assists, I think, on 18 made field goals. Looking at Texas assist numbers, excuse me, 20 assists in two of their three games so far. Texas Tech has been sharing the ball exceptionally well. I think there's just so many ways that they can beat you. And then even looking at Indiana, I mean, they hit 14 threes on the night against Milwaukee in that matchup in Assembly Hall. Nine in the first half when the game was, I guess, a little bit more close, maybe. Like Milwaukee hung in there for a little bit because they do have some firepower on the offensive end. But again, I think that bodes favorably just looking at some of these numbers for Texas Tech shooters to get off. Guys like Donovan Atwell, Tyree Bryan in particular, who had quiet showings against Illinois. I'm looking at them as well, just in a big bounce back spot in their home court on a Friday night.
Yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. And I think Christian Anderson, you touched on 11 assists in 2 out of 3 games coming off the 11 assists performance. I think this is another one where he's going to have 8 or more assists. I mean, he plays over 35 minutes a game. They played Sam Houston State, played 35. Linwood played 37. So he's going to play minutes even if it's going to be a blowout against Wisconsin Milwaukee. And so I like the assist numbers total there. Look, I wanted to hop on this because Wisconsin Milwaukee, my college coach, his son was the student manager there for 4 years. He just graduated. Now he's a D2 assistant. So shout out to Wisconsin Milwaukee and the Fighting Bart Lundys, baby. Queens University, now Wisconsin
Oh, yeah.
Milwaukee. Look, this is why I love college basketball is because there's a platform for a team like Wisconsin Milwaukee to play Texas Tech. But unfortunately for them, I would hate to be a bye game off such a tough emotional loss that Texas Tech
Mhm.
had against Illinois to where they are just going to be laying in the road and here comes a freight train coming straight through them. So I like those stats because I think this Texas Tech team is going to fill it up. And I mean on KenPom they already have the 10th best offensive efficiency in the country, and they played a ranked opponent in 3 games. So, yeah, give me Texas Tech in this by a lot because this is a perfect bounce back spot for them.
In terms of like where you maybe saw some of their cracks come to the surface in that Illinois game, what do you think sort of led to that loss that you want to see them again? Like when you're considering the opponent here, it's a decent Horizon League program. Like Milwaukee is a school that has had some success in the past. I do think Bart Lundy is a good coach. But again, there are levels to this. A Big 12 team hosting a Horizon League team, they're going to be heavily favored and should handle business pretty easily, we expect. But still, are there any flaws that you saw in that game against Illinois that you want to see? Can Texas Tech at least give some sort of hope to fixing any of those issues?
The real thing, I mean, 3-point shooting, they shot 27% against Illinois. And that's Boswell. That's the one thing. What I really want to see, again, Christian Anderson's been like the buzzword for me in this episode, but the other 2 games, he got to the free throw line a lot. And he had
Mm-hmm.
0 free throws for a guy that's that aggressive against Illinois. So just seeing him attack the basket again, obviously not playing against Boswell that's guarding him. He's guarding going against Wisconsin Milwaukee. So seeing him get to the charity stripe, shoot 6, 8 free throws, and just Texas Tech in general being aggressive and going to the line. They shot 4 free throws against Illinois. Four free.
That's
That's crazy.
that's why I think it was late in that game, the announcers commented how it was only their either third or fourth free throw attempt for the game, and it's like 2 minutes left. I'm like, I don't know if I've ever seen a free throw disparity quite like that, where I mean Illinois attempted 23, and I try not to blame too much for the refs on that, but. Well, in general, I would say I try to analyze more like, okay, is one team more aggressive? Does one team more athletic? But this was a team that was a matchup where the athletes I would say are pretty evenly matched. I don't think Illinois is way more physical in the paint than Texas Tech was. I think they just were kind of on the receiving end of a maybe a bad whistle. But yeah, beyond that, I'll highlight the two role players that I already mentioned with Tyree Bryan, Donovan Atwell. These are two guys who, I mean, are going to be tasked with playing a major role for this team. I think I've even been surprised by their minute share so far. I mean, Atwell played 34 minutes against Illinois. And this is a guy who has decent size. He's listed at 6'5", 200. I think that's legit. Like he does not look like one of those typical like SoCon players who moves up a level and you think, oh, wow, he was listed at 6'5", but he looks like he's 6'2" against all these power conference opponents. Like he looks like he belongs out there. However, he drew the matchup against Andrei Stojakovic in that Illinois game, and Stojakovic just cooked him. I mean, you could look at the Illinois numbers where they put up 81 points with just 5 assists. It was like whether it was Stojakovic, whether it was Keaton Vogler, whether it was I mean Davin Mirkovic did a little bit of this. They just had multiple guys who could go ISO one-on-one and sort of get a little more physical with their man. And maybe that does point to the free throw disparity that you saw, where a guy like Stojakovic, that I mean, we watched him a good bit last year as ACC guys. That's kind of his game. Like he's very comfortable just posting up smaller guards, attacking you from the mid post, like going one-on-one, scoring around the basket. And he drew a ton of contact in the ACC as well. So, I mean, maybe you don't like overreact too much because I think Stojakovic is really good, but I would like to see Atwell use a little bit more of that frame and that physicality that I think he possesses without fouling. And I mean, Tyree Bryan was another one. Actually, sorry, I misspoke. Bryan, you want to see more on the offensive side. Lawan Watts, I thought, struggled at points just containing Davin Mirkovic. And I know he gave you 21 for the game, but yeah, he was someone who was a little bit surprised just to see him get kind of bullied a little bit by Mirkovic, who does have some size on him. But those are the two guys on the defensive side of the ball that I just want to see make some strides to be like impact players on that level at this level.
Yeah, and I think they will. I mean, the third game of the season playing a talented team. The Illinois is going to be top 10 in the country. I mean, they are legit. And
Yeah.
Texas Tech is legit. Like I have a lot of Texas Tech stock as well. Like the Red Raiders, it's a talented roster. And it's funny to see the narratives or kind of the overreactions a little bit after like your first ranked opponent in November. It's just like, oh, this team is here and this team is there. But in reality, they're a lot closer than you appear. And obviously Texas Tech's only going to get better in the season. And I just think I can't get over that box score. 4 free throws to like 23, like, or 16. I think
Mhm.
Illinois made 16. And that's crazy. In a 4-point game, 8 fouls total for Illinois. I don't think we'll see a box score like this the rest of the season because college basketball we grew up on, was a little more physical, but recently it's been hand check after hand check. And to see only 8 fouls against Texas Tech, I don't blame Texas Tech Twitter to be like, hey, we got a bad whistle, because I would be screaming for the rooftops if the team that my team played against only had 8 fouls and a half, let alone
Yeah.
a game. That is
Yeah.
crazy.
Right, right. And to that point, I mean, like Illinois does play, they are physical. They do have size to where you would think maybe they get a little out of hand with that to where, yeah, I'm with you that if I was a Texas Tech fan, I'd probably be griping a little bit about that as well. I did want to ask you just I don't know if it'll hurt them in a game like this, but are you concerned at all about Texas Tech's depth? I mean, they played 8 guys in this one, and it just sort of seems like once you get past the top two with Christian Anderson and JT Toppin right now, I mean, Lawan Watts obviously played really well on the offensive end, but I mean, he didn't even start the game before. What did he put up? He had 11 points against Sam Houston State in 25 minutes. Like, that was a little shocking to me that he wasn't right away in the starting lineup, although maybe you attribute that to coming back from injury because he missed their first game. But beyond like their big two, I mean, Atwell and Bryan, I think those guys fit the system, and I just trust that McCaslin's going to put them in spots to succeed. But you wouldn't necessarily say they're stars, or you probably want to see them prove it a little bit more, just still moving up a level of competition. But then even that, like the 3 guys who came in off the bench of them, you had 2 freshmen with Jalen Petty and Nolan Groves, and then a redshirt freshman with Mariel Akuintok. Hopefully, I pronounced that right.
Look, first off, you are way better than me with pronunciation, so I'm giving you the okay. That sounded great coming off your line. And but to go back to with your question marks with their depth, yeah, there's a little bit because Brian, he was 4 of 5 against Sam Houston, but besides that, he was 3 of 12 against Lindenwood and 1 of 4 against Illinois, and he didn't have any rebounds against Illinois. Yeah, 6'5", 215. The previous 2 games, he had 15 combined, 8 and 7. So if he's not going to be able to score the ball, he's got to do the little things well, which he did in the previous game against Sam Houston State, where he had 12 and 7. So that is like a question mark. And the one thing with him too, Brian, is foul trouble. 4 fouls first game, fouled out against Illinois
Mm,
in a game where Illinois only had 18 fouls. So the depth can be an issue, I'm not going to say an issue because 3 games in is kind of a stretch, but could be a question mark for this Texas Tech Red Raider team. As you know, they play Wake Forest. Wake Forest is sneaky coming up. Like, that is a team that looks like they're better than they were last year. And then obviously when they play Arkansas and they play Duke, like, those are 2 teams that, hey, the depth or lack thereof, your 7 guys have to be productive for you.
hmm. Yeah, and I think even as they look at this part of the schedule, which to McCaslin's credit, they definitely beefed up their non-conference slate this year. I mean, it's felt like sort of that's been my one nitpick with his tenure, is he's played a lot of sub 250 teams in the non-con. It's like, man, I'm ready for Texas Tech to play someone real before Big 12 play, you know? So shout out to them for just even making it a little bit more challenging. Like you mentioned with Wake, I think Wake sneakily has some firepower. I mean, they always have guards that can go off. That's a Steve Forbes classic. I don't even know if he's running great stuff as much as he just empowers his guards to rock out, and they usually rise to the occasion. So that is a tough test coming up. But, you know, all in all, it's as of right now, like Kim Palm has them as 7-point favorites in that game. And I think overall you're taking Texas Tech's talent level, but I'm just kind of looking as they sort of build toward this Arkansas game on December 13th, and they got Duke a week later. These are the games where you want to see those freshmen rise to the occasion, and you want to see, you know, Jalen Petty get a little bit more comfortable if he's going to be asked to play minutes this year. And I would even say a guy like Mariel Akatuek, I still, um, Mariel, so just even like did a little research on him before this. So he's Canadian and he's had some like high level accolades in terms of his defense, and has won defensive player awards for like the schools he's been at in the past, the academy he was at or something. So it's like, to me, just watching even the 6 minutes he got against Illinois, they kind of took advantage of just like how raw he is. There were a couple times where they got him out of the paint, got him trying to slide his feet on the perimeter, and were able to expose that. But I think, especially because we don't know when Luke Bamboye is coming back, he is so pivotal for this team's defense. I don't think that Illinois gets those one-on-one matchups that they just keep repeatedly hunting over and over again in that last matchup. If there's, someone a little more formidable defensively in the paint than JT Toppin. And that's not even a knock on Toppin. Toppin finished with 3 steals and 3 blocks in that game. Like his stat line against Illinois was absurd. Like we have not seen a game like that in quite some time. But I think having Bamboye as like your true rim protector will alleviate a lot of concerns that we're sort of nitpicking at right now for Texas Tech. But just with these games in the softer part of the schedule, it's an opportunity for Mariel to show that like he can be a serviceable backup big if Bamboye struggles with health again, because I mean Mariel, I think he's in that same build as like the lanky, long wingspan rim protector type, but yeah, just really, really raw.
Yeah, this is the perfect game for him and those other guys that are question marks to get those in-game reps for Texas Tech to rely on for a 4 minute stretch, a pivotal 4 minute stretch in the first half, then to extend it to another 4 minute stretch later in the game. Because, I mean, he played 5 minutes against Illinois because obviously you don't know what you're going to get out of him. And he didn't kill him in the 5 minutes. He had two and
Mhm.
two. Like, he was okay. But this is the type of opponent that you want to see those 5 minutes turned into 12 minutes, and then Nolan Groves plays, more than the 9 minutes he played against Illinois. So
Mhm.
we talk about the depth, the question marks with depth. This is the type of opponent and why big big teams, better teams play a team like Wisconsin Milwaukee to get the reps out of the young Bucks because I'm telling you, a lot of people view these, they glance over these big number spreads like, well, it doesn't matter. Ask the head coach if it matters or not. This is the type of environment, type of game that's like, hey, I got to see what my guys outside of JT. We know JT Toppin's going to give me 30 and 10. We know that. We know Christian Anderson giving me almost a triple double. But everybody else, can you be relied on when Christian Anderson goes 4 of 12 and needs
Mhm.
somebody else to step up? And we saw that obviously with Luan Watts, but who else can step up for Texas Tech? And I think this is a great opponent for them to bounce back and find out more answers to their team.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Let's go ahead and close this preview with some predictions. Kim Bum right now has a spread. Texas Tech favored by 25 points. They have them projected to score 93. I'm going to go ahead and say that Texas Tech breaks the century mark, much like Indiana recently did against Milwaukee. I could see this. I mean, they got both. They should have Watts, Toppin, and Anderson together for. They have them all together for. Okay, they had them all together at home against Sam Houston State, but we'll say Watts was coming back from injury, so he should be fully acclimated now to where I think they get to like 105. And Milwaukee, they can shoot. They're shooting 38% as a team so far through this young season in 4 games. So they can maybe get a little hot and put up some points, but I'd ultimately say I'll lean like 105 to 76 ish for Milwaukee, and probably some of those points come in garbage time late. But yeah, that,
Yeah, I have Texas Tech. Like I said, it's a route after the bounce. They're gonna have a bounce back win, and they're going to show it on the scoreboard. I have them covering the spread, and I do like the century mark total. I will go 102 to 67. I think it might be a barn. I think it might be a barn burner one way, and it's going to
Mhm.
be Texas Tech. And then I think Texas Tech's identity. Obviously, they love to guard, love to be physical, and I think they're going to take that out on an inferior team as well.
I kind of want to adjust mine and say that Milwaukee fails to hit 70. Just thinking about like the fatigue, like to go from Assembly Hall down to Lubbock in 2 days, that's a freaking tough task.
Yeah,
And
that's a
playing a team that's
brutal.
pissed off after losing a really close game.
I'm telling you, my thoughts and prayers are with Wisconsin Milwaukee for when they play Texas Tech.
I'm like, yeah, maybe just enjoy getting some brisket or something while you're in Texas. Like make other plans to maximize your stay there because it's not going to be pleasant on the basketball court. But we will be back breaking it all down. So should be a good opportunity for Texas Tech to flex their muscle a little bit.